Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. We give thanks to Allah. We give thanks to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who permeates all creation and shows us the way. We give thanks to all of the prophets, all of the angels, all of the teachers, all of the holy ones who have brought us this far and who continue to walk us. I'm here to talk about what it means to shift to a God-based metabolism, because in the moment that I was asked, something in my heart said, "Oh yes!" and a bird flew out. That's the reason. I've since then said, who am I? And what am I talking about? So I come to you making it clear that I'm coming as an earnest and sincere child on the playground of learning about these things. My sincerity often outstrips my competence, for instance, in matters such as fasting. Why I am so yearning on the subject of shifting over to a God-based metabolism is because when I try to fast for a whole day, I faint. And that's just the beginning of the troubles. I'm not even going to go into it. But I can't do a full day of fasting. And so I am doing a lot of looking into how I play the edges of capacity to fast, and what is a fast anyway. And so, if you are an excellent faster, perhaps what I have to say will give you yet another angle on what you're already good at. If fasting is difficult for you, welcome to this playground. My hope in the long run is that my difficulty with fasting will lead me into the heart of the matter in a way that might not have happened if I had a very strong body and could just fast, no problem. Don't even have to think about it. I'm strong. I can push through. Because to fast from the strength of the self, I have the feeling, is to miss the gift of the fast. The gift of feeling for how do I live in this body with this heart that has two doors. A door to the dunya through sensory reality, which I have a blast with, and another door. The door to the reality of the unseen, the reality of a law. My suspicion, it's more than a suspicion, I believe it's a clinical reality, is that it is my very ardent preoccupation with the world of the senses, with the sensory reality, with the dunya, with the colors, the flavors, the tastes, the movements, the incredible pageantry. I mean, there are flowers, there are rocks and trees, and there are these glorious things, people, or at least the image of people, what seems to be a parade going on all the time. And my metabolism accordingly tends to shift into a dunya-based metabolism. Which self-perpetuates in a kind of excitement and engagement and craving that sets me up to want more and need more. And during Ramadan, more strongly than at any time of year, I'm feeling that incentive from the other door to say, wait. There's something else that could actually be sustenance. I'm reminded of an experience I had with an exceptional bar of chocolate that I brought with me to Sufi U when I was assisting. And during most of the week, there were moments when it just seemed like everybody was in some sort of crisis, and all of the students were crying and having breakthroughs, and so it didn't matter how tired I was there. And occasionally, now and then, it would get to the point where it stopped feeling like loving service and started to feel a little bit like, can I go to bed now? And I would have just a little taste of the chocolate, and it allowed me to remember the sweetness of Allah within creation. Like, yes, I'm here, and there's a sweetness in it. Right here in creation, there's that taste of the qualities of Allah. However, on Thursday evening, we had the halwa, and it was one of those halwas where one is swept into something so refined and so holy. And in the midst of this, I thought, wow, and what would this be like if I added a little bit of that chocolate? So I had some of the chocolate, the whole thing crashed. I was like, it brought me firmly back into the world of the senses and the dunya, and all I had was chocolate instead of that other door swept open and nourished with a sweetness so direct that it's like, chocolate? Who needs chocolate when we're with the creator of all of this and can have it without the stuff around it? So this is what I have been working within myself in shifting my physiology over into the state of the halwa rather than the state of the ooh, look at this! This is amazing! It's all so wonderful! Bring me more! kind of metabolism that's like my face stuffed right into all of it. So involved. It's like, because the body does shift. The body does shift. It's not just an idea. And making a mental decision to shift in this way over to a law-based metabolism is not enough. Where I've gone in order to learn about this has been actually a slightly more immediate place for fasting, and that is breathing. It's been extraordinary, and I invite you to consider it right now. Because whether or not you are fasting, you are breathing. And what I've been learning about my breathing and about how the human engages with breath has helped me be able to fast more than anything else. Because it has been teaching me where does my sustenance come from, and how much do I really need from this world. I drifted into this because somebody was talking to me about how I might sleep better if I put tape over my mouth to make me breathe through my nose. So I tried it, and it was pretty wonderful. And what was even more wonderful was not taking the tape off when I woke up. Which then transitioned into putting the tape on earlier and earlier. Go up and brush my teeth a good solid hour before I'm planning on going to bed. Or taking periods of time during the day just to have that tape over my mouth, just a tiny little bit. Talk about reducing speech. It certainly helped in that way. But it also created inside of me a kind of intactness. I started to feel that my body was a mosque. That I could be in with that back door to Allah open, in a kind of solitude and sustenance, without so much, hey, and all the things. No, I still got my laundry done and my dishes washed, and I even did my taxes with tape over my mouth, and a deep sense that my true home and my true sustenance was not in this world. This was so amazing that I started learning more about it and started reading and researching and finding out that, do you know that most people breathe way more than they actually need to? And that the more anxiety we have, the more we breathe. And that in that breathing, we bring in oxygen and most of it goes right back out again. And carbon dioxide with it. Why is that such an amazing and important thing? Is because it's the carbon dioxide that allows us to absorb the oxygen. So if you breathe more, you find yourself needing to breathe more. And if we breathe less, we have an opportunity to find ourselves needing to breathe less. It's just an opportunity, though. because this is where Allah comes into it. I can tell you from having tried that just holding my breath and not turning to Allah, it leads to an anxiety attack. It leads to terror. It leads to this feeling of, I'm gonna die! Kind of similar to what would happen to me often when I tried to fast from food. With this dunya-based, sensory-based, gotta have it stuck into the fabric of sensory reality. If I don't breathe right now, I'm... And my feeling with food was very much the same way. And I remembered what it was like when scuba diving so many years ago. How with the same amount of oxygen in my tank as in my partner's tank, I was scuba diving, and internally, my internal world was like, look at that eel! Oh my God, the coral! It's so gorgeous! Wow! Look at that fish! Did you see that fish? And I would run out my tank so much faster than my partner, who was like, whoa, eel, man. Fabulous coral. Check that out. And who was breathing less, fully present, and wondered why I had to go up so soon. So I've been learning from fasting from breath about the Allah-based metabolism that makes it easier to not need food, because my body, literally, physiologically, is much more Allah dependent. In the need that I do have, because we do have some need, but not nearly as much as we think. There's a guy named Wim Hof. He's kind of famous. He's got a breathing exercise for beginners. You can find it on YouTube, that I've been working with, because it gives a chance to have somebody else counting and give me practice times for holding my breath, and at the same time feeling for which door of the heart am I drawing nigh to and opening and asking for sustenance from. The difference in how long I can hold my breath is really marked compared with when I'm like 11, 12, 13, 14, ah! Yeah. My sense is that it's the same with sleep. That we have some needs. CD says reduce, not renounce. And that the relationship to faith, true embodied faith, causes a polyvagal experience of shift into a very different body. If I don't get enough sleep, I get the worst migraines. It used to be completely unnegotiable. The more I start working with not the idea of trust Allah, trust Allah, trust Allah, but me will actually be hysterical. but actually feeling for, okay, can I shift my body starting with my breath and move towards that other door and draw from it? I can go longer without getting a headache. So that's the overview of the playground that I've been on. And I'd love to, if you're interested, actually do some feeling for what I'm talking about. With the proviso that all of this, you might know all this already. I am just stumbling into it, and so I make my humble offering to the other kids on the playground. Some of them are much older kids who like already know about this, and some might be younger and thinking, oh, okay. So one of the images that I use when doing my Wim Hof breathing, or afterwards just working with my breath and my fast from food as well, or sleep, is the image of a windsock. You know, I wonder if I have my windsock available here. Let me find out. Nope. I have a windsock, if you don't know what one is, let alone what it has to do with God. A windsock is often seen at car dealerships. It's a kind of fabric tube, usually with fringes flying out at the end, and a back portion that the wind is blowing through. So if you go with me on this, it actually will turn out to be useful for shifting to an Allah-based metabolism. A human being is like a windsock, with the fringy parts out front. So if you can feel what your fringy parts are like, the dunya, this, that, the colors, the thing, I have to get it done. That's my main way of being in my fringes. I have to get it done. It gets very intense on the computer. Get it done. Yeah, so that's the fringy portion. And so it's not a very Allah-based metabolism when we're there. To stop food or reduce sleep or air and still be in the fringy is to lead to an anxiety attack and gasping and sickness. It's difficult. Okay, let's see if you can feel further back into the body of the windsock. It's not head first, face glued into the dunya. It's much more of our own inner world, heart stations. Yeah. That's better. It's a better place from which to fast, but there's still so much moving in there, and so many colors. See if you can feel for moving even further back to where the hoop of the windsock is. Way back there. At least that's how it feels to me. There's that place where our being, our soul, it's like this bare structure that allows a divine wind to flow through it. When I am in that place, it is certainly better still. I can hold my breath much longer when I'm in that part of the windsock, with that part of the soul, where I can feel that divine wind sustaining me. Sometimes when I'm doing those breathing exercises, I'll feel myself back there. But the greatest success is when I actually kind of fall back into the place beyond the frame into the vast unpatterned Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, yeah. It's an incredible place from which to disappear and really learn I don't actually need to breathe nearly as soon as I thought I did. Or eat. Because that's what usually ends up happening next is after doing my breathing exercises and falling out into that space. When I'm done with the exercises, my whole body has readjusted to a place where I am much more in this world but not of it. And breathing in sips, little sips of this world, just not needing as much. Just not needing as much. Yeah. Another body-based metaphor, you could call it a metaphor, but it's more than a metaphor. It's a posture. Came to me from one of Ibrahim's Little Tuesday lectures. It was 3 seconds long. It changed my life. I don't even remember exactly which teaching it was in, but he was talking about when you need to deliver tough love to someone. And he was saying that when you need to deliver the tough love to somebody, the posture of the heart, if it's like this, that doesn't go so well. But that if the posture of the heart is in its uprightness, and then you go to speak to the person from that upright place, this carries the politeness. And I had a typical dunya-oriented response. This posture, that's me so much of the time, like a dog. Like all over the dunya. Not just when I have something strong to deliver. All the time. Well, not all the time. I'm exaggerating. What a surprise. What I got from it was something else that I could do in my body to feel that part of me that I think it really has to do with what Siddhi's talking about when he talks about being like an animal. Not that there's anything wrong with animals for an animal. But to be in that state of being like at the world, enthusiastically, even lovingly, it's still a dunya immersion. And really feeling like, yeah, woof. And how, like you're seeing me do it right now. How different. I'll take my hand. It really helps. You can give it a try. There's one on my heart, one actually like my actual hand. I'm doing like thing. And then being like, okay. Feeling for, if I am a two-legged, not a four-legged, with my neck craned forward, and instead my heart is the heart of the upright one, with my crown with the stars and my feet on the ground. suddenly I need so much less from this world. Now, it was only at the beginning of Ramadan that I was checking out Ibrahim's teachings and came across this thing with the hand that he did. I imagine that even though I'm working with this right now in order to learn how to fast, I imagine that this is going to change a great deal about how I walk in the world and how much I need coming to me from the world, something, and how much I will be able to remain in a more Allah-based metabolism. I am hoping that it is being felt, the feeling of everything that Stephen Porges talks about when he explains polyvagal theory, but brought into a deeper level of reality. That faith allows for sustenance, and that sustenance increases faith. I am not saying anything new, I know that, but I feel like I'm new around here. When I'm in that back space, that uprightness that allows me to really feel the other door of my mosque, the one that does not open into this world, I feel as though I am listening to poetry in a language that I don't know. There is a feeling of incomprehensibleness, certainly. There's nothing for the mind to grasp onto. But there is this feeling of the way that when you are hearing a song or a poem in a language you don't know, you can feel the order. You can feel the not randomness of it. A poem is perhaps the least random thing in creation. And yet when it's in a language we don't know, all we can do is open and let it wash over us. This also helps me with shifting to an Allah-based metabolism, because Allah's pattern, movement, I don't know what to call it, what Allah is making. We talk about what Allah is making. What is Allah making? Allah is making a poem in a language that we don't know. Allah is writing our lives, which is a poem in a language that we don't know. And that feeling of, I do not know what this is, but it is not chaos, changes the body into a state of trust that holds the experience of the fast, be it sleep or food or breath, in a context of meanings that are, it's like it's barely touchable. And this makes it, this is just being very honest, this makes it a lot easier not to panic during those edge moments when this could go either way. This could go towards physically damaging my health, or this could go towards a level of surrender that shifts the faith that it took to get here into an even deeper faith. Yeah. I'm just pausing. I got a little spacey. I was talking about it. One of the things that also helps me to move back there, this is a practice that I use. I have no footnote. I have no footnote for it. It's just what I find is it's how I help comfort and stabilize the windsock on my way back. We can do it together. It's the 3 cools for the 3 layers of the windsock, or layers of the heart. And then Ayat al-Kursi for leaving the whole world behind and just moving towards the throne. We can speak it together if you like. I'll do mine out loud. You'll do yours on mute. So here we are, bringing some stability to the fringy bits. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. It doesn't need to be perfect. If there's still a fringe or 2 waving in the wind, it's absolutely fine. We're just giving it its due. Before moving back into the body of the windsock on the inside, and comforting it and holding it and filling it and rectifying it with Surah Al-Falaq. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul a'udhu bi-rabbil falaq min sharri ma khalaq wa min sharri ghasiqin idha waqab wa min sharri nafathati fil 'uqad wa min sharri hasidin idha hasad. And then we're leaning back even more, we're opening back even more, we're feeling for where the big circle structure of the soul, whose most important consideration is just opening to the wind. And we help it find its sense of security with Surah An-Nas. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas Malikinas, Elahinas, Min Shayal Waswasal Khannas, Aleti Waswisufisadurinas, Min Al Jinnati Wanas. And then we just let ourselves fall through to be drawn to the throne. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahu la ilaha illahu al-hayy al-qayyum. La taqiduhu sinatun wa la nawm. Lahu ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. Man dha alladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'idhnihi. Ya'lamu ma bayna aydihim wa ma khalfahum. Wa la yuhituna bi shay'in min ilmihi illa bima sha'a. Wasi'a kursiyuhu samawati wal ard. Wa la ya'uduhu hifdhuhuma. Wa huwa al-aliyyul azim. Sadaqallahu al-azim. When I do this, it feels the same as really, really good fasting from breath. And then my beloved, loving prayer is to bring this body to my Ramadan. To everything that is in creation that perhaps I need a little bit of. But not nearly as much as we think. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Amin. 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 Wiggle your fingers a little bit. Like those fringes. Wiggle your toes a little bit. You do not need to come back all the way. We are the whole windsock. Always. Good to have fingers and toes that can type or drive. It's good to have a heart and a soul and a secret immersed at the same time as our fingers and toes are here. Bismillah, this is what I have to offer. I don't really have more to say.